On item 2.
Peacock, Sam Pierce, Jason Ince, and Cheryl Taylor West are absent. We have a quorum.
God, you are the builder of all things. Please guide us in this meeting. Help us come up with the effective strategies that can enable us to move forward as a team in a meaningful way. Help us to generate good plans that are practical, sustainable, and easily implemented. Guide us toward the best ways to take action to accomplish our goals. Help us to tackle all the topics we need to discuss, come up with excellent solutions, and leave this meeting inspired and on time. Amen. Justice for all. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Line item 5, public comments and receipts of petitions. At this time, anyone will be allowed to speak on any matter other than personnel matters. Any matter not specifically listed for public hearing elsewhere or on the agenda or matters under litigation for a length of time not to exceed 4 minutes. No council board member discussions or action may take place on a matter until such matter has been placed on an agenda and posted according with law. Texas Government Code Section 551.042. Cindy Hillberry. Just state your name, please.
My name is Cindy Hillberry, and I'll start by saying I do not reside within the city limits, and I acknowledge that. However, I do own a business that's very prominent in the city of Whitney. I just want to thank this council for their continued support of our city, for the changes that they're trying to make to improve some of the problems that we've had in the city for years. I think they've heard a lot of the needs that have been expressed. I know personally that they are working towards getting some financial reports that have not been consistently received in the past as far as the overall standing and financial accuracy of the city's financial records. And in that process, it's allowed them to begin to apply for some grants and some other financial incentives that would help to improve some of the amenities of the city. And so, you know, when I see Hill County rant and rave on Facebook just like everybody else does. And, you know, somebody told me a long time ago that for virtually every good thing, there's a negative side to it as well. So if your husband is a spender and he brings you jewelry and flowers and goes on wonderful vacations, he's probably not much of a budget guy, right? And, you know, it's virtually all stories have two sides, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. And we all can see the same experience from the same viewpoint, but tell the story and the results of that incident in a very different way. So when we start talking about code enforcement and trying to clean up some areas, personally, I'm very, very happy with the changes that have been made along Brazos and the sidewalks and cleaning that to where we can walk on those sidewalks. Because at one point we were trying to walk at lunch and it wasn't a clear path for us to walk on those sidewalks. And it's certainly not safe to walk out towards the street. Same thing, you know, it was a difficult spring season with all the rain. But once we got to the point that we could mow, even our mayor and her husband were out there mowing property that wasn't their property. You know, when we started talking about all the animals that were running crazy around town, that was an issue. And so the city has made an effort to register those animals so we know which ones. And not only did we do that, but we established a shelter for some of those animals that have come in. And again, I see where the people that are affiliated with the city and doing the city business are trying to place those animals so as they don't have to be put down. So I thank you guys. I thank you for the commitment that you make. I thank you for the changes you're trying to make. And I know it's been many, many years of just doing what we've always done. And it's nice to see some changes being implemented. Thank you.
Next, we have Billy Pribble. Thank you.
All right, let me try to get this mic right. Honorable Mayor Sanders, Councilwomen, Councilman, and citizens of Whitney. For those who do not know me, my name is Billy Pribble. I want to be clear that I'm standing before you tonight as a resident and not speaking in my official capacity as Director of Operations for the City of Whitney. While I may express some situations I have experienced in executing my duties, these are strictly my opinions. They should be in no way reflected upon or associated with the city. I've had some things on my mind, so here I am. My mother and father moved us to Whitney when I was 14 years old. I've often said that they moved us here for a reason. When I say this, I'm usually asked what that reason was. The fact is, it does not matter. I met the love of my life at 17. We have been happily married for 21 years. My wife was born in the hospital here in Whitney and has lived here her whole life. We have raised our children here. It doesn't get any more from Whitney than that. I've seen a dramatic shift in the city over the past 28 years, more so in the past 5 to 10 years. When we first moved here, it was a tight-knit community. Everyone knew everybody and would go out of their way to help one another. We were welcomed here like we had lived here our whole lives, and that feeling has seemingly disappeared. I find myself working in a position I never would have dreamed of if you asked that 14-year-old kid that he thought he would be serving as a director of operations rather than a heavy metal guitar playing race car driver, he would have laughed himself into stitches. Yet here I am. When I do this job, when I was presented this job, I questioned if I was the right person. My wife's counseling and much prayer led me here. My wife once said, "You know what's wrong, and if you don't try to fix it, you'll never forgive yourself." I have tried to lead with integrity, treating each person in this town the same. It doesn't matter what your last name is or how well connected you are. When I served in Iraq, we had a motto: standards, no compromise. And that is not just a motto, but a code in which I live by. Politics have been never more polarized than they have right now. We live in a time when a self-proclaimed anarchist will fight every rule and regulation, even if it enhances the community. We live in a time when people will try to have you arrested, going all the way to the state attorney general because you asked them to get a building permit or even clean up their yard. We live in a time where the assassination of a healthcare executive is celebrated and social media controls the narrative. Seemingly up is down and down is up. Mayor Sanders and members of the City Council, I want you to know how thankful I am to work with each of you. I have often said that this job is not about making people happy, it's about making them less mad. Public service takes a special type of person, and I want to thank each of you for your dedication to the city and the citizens. Making decisions that affect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are not easy ones to make. Serving with you and serving the citizens of Whitney has been the second greatest honor of my life. The first fighting beside my brothers and sisters overseas. Citizens of Whitney, I am not a perfect man. There's only been one perfect man to walk this earth, and I pray every day for guidance and the ability to carry out my duties according to his will. I'm going to make mistakes. I will always do what I believe is best for the city and make the best decision I can with the information I've been provided. We will not always agree, and that is okay, because good productive debate is what makes government work. I have pledged to myself and to God that I will provide the city council with the most accurate information I can and let them make the decisions for the city. It is not my job to steer this boat, but merely keep it moving in the direction as instructed by the council. Christmas is here, and the time is upon us to get past our egos and our differences. It is time to let things go. Let us commit to working together better in 2025 and beyond. This city is primed for great opportunities, and it is up to us collectively to make things happen. Mayors will change, city council members and administrations will change, and what we do now, that will impact and make an everlasting impact. We have the opportunity to make generational changes. I will close with this. The earth, this country, this city is not ours. It's our turn. Make your turn count. Be the reason a family decides to relocate to Whitney, Texas. Thank you. God bless the United States of America, this great state, Whitney, Texas, and each of you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
On item 6. Hold a public hearing on the proposed amendments to Chapter 14, zoning ordinance of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Whitney, Texas regarding historic landmarks, legend for schedule of uses, home occupation signs, and Planning and Zoning Commission, the Board of Adjustment Variances and Amendment Procedure. We're going to go into the hearing at 6:27. And I do want to make note that we have received an email, just for the record, on our public hearing, and it is going to go in the records. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on the hearing? Can you stand at the podium and give your name and address?
I would just request that this zoning issue be postponed so that the citizens can have more time to understand what's really going on here. And since it is, and this is not a debate or an argument or anything, I'm just saying what I feel like is right for the community, that we need more time to look at this, and I request that it be postponed until after the holidays to address this.
And what was your name
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Diane Wyatt,
and your address?
201 North Colorado Street.
Okay,
Whitney.
thank you. Anybody else have anything that they want to address? Please state your name and address.
My name is Caleb Johnson. I live at 200 South Lavaca Street. According to the city, it's 112 South Lavaca Street. The city limit line cuts right through my property, so technically my house and business is not in the city, but part of my property is in the city. So this issue was just a little bit important to me. I would also request that the decision being made on this is postponed until after the holidays. It's dangerously close to the holidays, and a lot of people aren't even here. Did you say that there was a city council member that's not here currently for this? 2,
One.
just 1. Who is that? Can you,
We don't have to answer.
Jason Ince? Didn't he live in the city and own a business that's in the city? Okay, but he owns a business that's in the city and lives in the city, but he's not.
Do you have a
here
question
to
or a
vote on this?
statement?
I do. I just felt like some of these were kind of arbitrary. Like you can't have more than 2 people at the same time in a home business. And then you can't have more than 12 like in one day. Actually I own 2 of them at the at that address. One of them is flooring and the other one is a bodybuilding gym. Like I said, technically the city limit line is outside of where my businesses are, but I know that at some point as the city grows, I might be annexed into city limits. So this is a little bit important to me. Additionally, I was just curious who came up with this, who's sponsoring this for this to be enacted into the city. I'm sure this is just like copy pasted from some bureaucratic regime in the state, unless you guys actually wrote this up yourselves. Okay, right. But who on the city council is actually sponsoring this? Like somebody brought it to the table to vote on this to change like home occupation rules. I'm just curious because it seems to me like you guys just are trying to cut down on like young up and comers who are like, because young people can't afford a retail space. Young people can't afford a house. And so, okay, I believe you.
Shouldn't we?
Understood. Like I said, a lot of these just seem kind of arbitrary, like signs. You can't have a sign out front of your house. Like the signs, you can't have a sign out front of your house that says that that's your business and that's where it's located. Is somebody bothered by a sign out front? Understood. Yeah, I agree. Like light pollution at night is very annoying. So understood. All right. Well, once again, I would just ask that this is postponed to be acted on until like more people can be aware of this, because I just found out about it a couple of days ago online. What was the permit going to be for the, I guess you would need a sign permit and then you would need the home occupation permit. Like, have you guys come up with an exact price of what that would be?
Sure.
I'd just like to inform the mayor, council, and members of the audience that the public hearing portion of this meeting is for you to provide testimony and not for a back and forth with the council, to let everyone else in the room time to speak.
Understood.
So it's not,
Okay.
the council is not here to answer questions. You're here to give testimony.
Understood.
Just thought I'd clear that up.
I got you. It didn't seem like people were jumping at the opportunity to speak. Oh, I can speak for you? Okay. Well, then I'll just give my testimony then. So I actually own two businesses at that address. And like I said, this seems like just kind of like a money grab to get a permit and a sign permit, home occupation permit. You pay a fine or a fee if you didn't do that. Like stuff like this is just kind of like government overreach. Like, why is it anyone's business to tell me what I can do at my house if I'm not hurting anybody? You're going to come in and tell me I can't have more than 2 people at my business at a time? I can't have more than 12 in one day? I can only operate between 8 and 9? Who came up with this? It just seems unnecessary. It seems like government overreach. Additionally, stuff like this only hurts poor people. Like rich people can afford a retail space. They don't have to run a business out of their house. Young people can't afford a house. Young people can't afford retail spaces. It just seems like it punishes young entrepreneurs who are trying to make something of themselves instead of going after people who are terrorizing neighborhoods with negative things instead of trying to paint nails or do hair or whatever else people do at their house. Well, that's already illegal. Like selling drugs, like you could do it anywhere.
We're out of order.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Just in reference to that idea, like what if somebody is selling drugs out of their house? Well, yeah, that's already illegal. What if they're painting nails? What if they're doing eyelashes? Like, okay. Well, I didn't know I only had 4 minutes, so my apologies if I'm over time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else?
Apologize to all of you for being a bit tardy today. I wasn't planning to attend. I'm actually at home with the flu. So all of you have just now been exposed to it. But we needed, I realized this week that this was an important meeting. In my personal life, I'm a psychologist, and as I walked in the door, I could feel this room. So I would like to engage all of us in just taking it down a notch. Whatever it is you're angry about, Christmas is only 1 week away. It's not that important. What I've heard 2 speakers say is they would like to postpone making a decision so that all of us can get some clarity over what the issues are here. My encouragement to all of you and to the council would simply to be take a deep breath. Let's look at these issues from both angles and approach it again at a later time. We have to conduct business that is on the agenda tonight and get that done that is required. I'll return it back to the mayor. Thank you again
Okay.
for allowing me to come in late.
Okay, so we've all had a chance to look.
Madam Mayor, City Council, thank you for serving. My name is Debbie Gregory. I live at 500 North Angelina Street. I've been married to a man in this city since 2003. Never wanted to be here, but he lives here, so I'm here. What I have observed is that the city has become a bit oppressive with rules and ordinances, and it is hurting the people. As I go out and volunteer to help people have food, it is hard for them to deal with all the ordinances that are oppressing their lives. And as I read all these ordinances, I don't see a whole lot of them that are going to help our community. Yes, everybody wants a clean community, pristine, and everything just picture book perfect. I understand the rules at Hillsborough. It harmed the city of Hillsborough for years. But they are the county seat, and if that's what they want to do, they have city council and everybody to take care of them. But it harmed the city because I've sold homes there, and the restrictions to be able to cut down a tree or different things was very harmful. Things didn't get done in an orderly fashion because of having to have permits and paying for everything. So I hate to see that come to a small community that is a rural farming community, not the big county seat. And I just ask that you step back a minute, let us all have more public hearings and discuss this like grown-ups in the room. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's very good.
Hello, my name is Kendra Bone. I live at 508 East Hayes Avenue. Sorry. I wanted to say that there are some great things.
Could you repeat your name? I'm sorry.
Sorry, my name is Kendra Bone, and I live at 508 East Hayes Avenue. There are a lot of good things, but there are also some things that I think that have been approached in a little bit aggressive manner. For example, some of the things that were allowed before for home occupations are now being taken away as rights, such as the signs. But right now, home occupations are allowed a 2.5 square foot sign attached to the structure which their home or that the business is in. There are certain things that are exempt from the rules of not being able to have any of your business outside, such as holiday merchandise and firewood, which that's also being removed as a right. And businesses right now, well, the new proposal is that you can have a business inside your home, but there can be no evidence or no workings of that business outside of your home. And currently you're allowed to have, sorry, I have very high social anxiety, so you might hear it in my voice and see me shaking. But thank you. Right now, people are allowed to conduct their business in their yard if they have a privacy fence of 6 feet, and that is also being taken away as a right. So now, even if you have a yard, you're not allowed to, with a privacy fence, by the new rules, you're not allowed to have any business within that yard. You have to have it completely within your home. And sometimes people should be able, if it's in their own privacy where no one can see it, it's not bothering anyone, that should be allowed. We shouldn't be able to dictate what people do in their private space in that manner. Some added restrictions, which a few people have mentioned, is limiting people to 2 at a time or 12 within a day. And there are a lot of home businesses where that's not necessarily a feasible thing. For instance, I don't now, but I used to sell children's books, and I would have what's called book parties, and I'd have a group of people come, and I'd do it only a few times a year, but I'd have like 15 people come to go over new books and new things and have prizes for them and stuff. But that's, I wouldn't be able to, with that particular job, do that with just 2 at a time. It wouldn't be a good use of time management and things like that. And with the limitations, I understand the idea of it to, prevent overflow of traffic and different things like that. However, even in our normal daily lives, we have people coming and going to our home. We have guests, we have birthday parties, we have different situations. And if these people have home businesses and you're restricting how many people can come and go, then it's like, how do you know what they're doing? How do you know if it's a business? How do you know if they have a birthday party or a different situation like that? And I feel like that's a good way to start infringing on what people do in their daily lives in their home. I think things like that, and also the parking spaces, it's proposed that it'll be limited to 3 parking spaces, including for occupants and visitors. A lot of people already have more than 3 cars. I have 2 kids that are I have a teenager and a preteen. When they get to driving age, I plan to have both of them a car. Am I not allowed to have 4 parking spaces in my driveway since, I'll have 4 cars? That kind of stuff. It's a small limitation, which the idea, yes, can be good to not have a lot of vehicles and like parking lots and things, but the numbers and stuff like that, it doesn't really fit with even just a normal daily home. How many people have more than 3 cars already? That's not a good number for restricting an additional business to that. And then operating hours, another business I used to have was I was a personal accountant for a small business, and I would work with them after their business was closed. They would come to me and we would go over their numbers and things, and that was often around 10 o'clock. So sometimes these home businesses are outside at the time of normal business hours, and us putting restrictions on that can hinder the little bit that they do. There's a lot of people who have long hours and then they need like maybe tutoring or something like that after they get off work at the other home business. And if they're not allowed to do that after 9 p.m., that could make it where they can't do it at all. And then another thing was there's a restriction of along with the evidence of having nothing visible around you is smoke. I have some friends I used to live a couple hours from here, but I have a friend who has a business where they barbecue different foods and prepare them and sell them, not at their home, but they take them to locations and sell them. And that would be creating smoke. If they're grilling outside, that's going to create smoke. And by this ordinance proposal, that would be in violation. Having smoke from your grill would be in violation of what y'all have put here. Also, I want to let y'all know there are a few typos.
Kendra,
Yes.
your time is up. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Sorry. I just want to let y'all know
Thank you.
there are also a few typos that y'all should go back and
Thank you.
check over.
Okay, council. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to close the public hearing at 6:45 PM. Does the council want to give direction?
Nothing to give direction on, Madam
Okay.
Mayor, at this time.
Okay. So consent agenda, all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. Should the council member desire discussion of any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Line item 7, deliberate and act on approving the minutes from the regular city council meeting on November 21st, 2024 and December 5th, 2024. Line item 8, deliberate and act on approving the City of Whitney expense reports and register reports for November 2024.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second.
Aye.
Department reports, mayor report, update on the chief of police position. Back in November, we had an interview board that was created to do a search for a police chief since our current police chief is going to be our constable. We had interviewed several and we ended up giving a letter of acceptance to one of our officers, and he has accepted that new chief position. And we will be installing our new police chief, Joshua Scholes, on December 31st, 2024 at 2 PM here in the library, if y'all would like to attend. Our administration report, Mr. Pribble.
Forgive me, I broke my own rule. I didn't have the microphone on. Utility billing's going okay. We did have a couple of hiccups with some of the instances there was a couple of double billings and a couple the link didn't work, but those have since been corrected, we believe. The utility rates that you council passed last month or month before, I'm sorry, I don't recall. They will be reflected on the next water bill. So they have not come through yet. We tried to hold off to make sure that ERP was going to work and give people the opportunity to get through the holidays before those increased rates hit. So on the January water bill, the increased rates will be on there. Also, I wanted to give you an update on the Texas Department of Agricultural CDBG grant that we applied for. We applied for $750,000. We got the scoring back today. The city of Whitney ranked #1 out of all of HotCog. And more than likely, we will be invited to phase 2, which is really good news. So just want to let you guys know how that's going, and that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. We move down to our Department of Emergency Services reports. It would be Robert who will be giving our fire and EMS reports. And before we go any further, I failed last month to let y'all know that Robert is our new emergency services or director of emergency services, however you want to put it. So congratulations.
Thank y'all. Mayor and council members, thank you for the opportunity again to work for this great city. It was a fairly busy month in November. On the EMS side, we ran 49 calls. Of the 49 calls, 11 calls were out in the county for mutual aid with CareFlight. On average, we transported 68% of the patients. 32 were either non-transports or no patients found. Our average response time for the ambulance was 6 minutes and 30 seconds. I know that sounds long, but you can realize 11 of those calls were out in the county, which were probably 10 plus minutes to get on scene. On the fire side, we did run 40 calls. On the fire calls in the city, there was 2, and then we ran 6 out in the county. Two of them were actually working structure fires. As far as first responder calls, we ran 13 first responder calls with the ambulance in the city, and we also ran 19 first responder calls with Care Flight or Whitney's Medic out in the county. It was a pretty busy month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Neville will now give the police department report and the code compliance report.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Madam Mayor. Police Department, in the month of November, we had 165 calls, disturbances, accidents, alarm calls, 56 traffic stops, 60 citations, warnings, and citations issued, 3 total arrests. Our Whitney officers went to the Whitney ISD mental health awareness and assisted them. Our officers discussed the consequences of being in possession of vape pens and also the consequences it has on you in a medical aspect. So that was a good thing with the kids in the school from 6th grade to 12th grade. They talked to all of them. We responded to a tenant landlord dispute during this civil investigation. It led to a narcotics investigation where we've confiscated 48 grams of methamphetamine, felony amount of THC products, multiple firearms were recovered, and we took a person into custody, and we're still in an active investigation with that one. I had on here our vehicle update due to the holiday season. We hadn't got them upfitted yet, but we got a surprise call today to come pick them up, and the new vehicles are completely upfitted, and we have them back at our office now.
Great.
As far as code enforcement, we had 22 cases for the month. We have 13 open, 9 cases have closed, and we had 2 citations, which were for rabies and dog at large citations. Code enforcement had 13 brush ordinances, overgrown grass, we had 5, and junk, trash, and debris, we had 3. So we had a animal at large, animal investigation, animal nuisance, and like I said, 2 citations were issued. 1 animal was impounded and was later adopted, so we had a positive outcome there. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, Public Works.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. November, we had 3 water leaks to complete. We had 1 major fire hydrant repair. Ended up stripping a whole hydrant out and approximately 30 feet of 6-inch water line that needed to be replaced. Didn't have too many disruptions. Our downtown street lights we have a temporary solution installed with TNMP. We're trying to work with them to figure out a permanent fix for that. And our city parks, I've just been working on a new agreement with the WWFL that is taking over for the WYA, which fell apart, as I'm sure everybody's heard. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Christy, the library report.
Greetings, Community Council, Madam Mayor. I'm Christy Rogers, the Interim Library Director for Whitney, Texas. Each of you on the council have a report of the library statistics, so I'd like to focus a little bit on the outreach that we're doing. On that note, if you'd ever like to see the library statistics, I have them available, and you're welcome to come and talk to me about them anytime as a community member. I recently heard a quote from Patrick Lloyd from Georgetown Public Library in Georgetown, Texas. Patrick is actually a community resource officer, or what we would call a social worker. That library has a focus on libraries as protective factors in communities. He reminds us that libraries are about people and not books. We believe our library should serve as a cornerstone of community engagement. We offer a wide range of services and events that encourage learning, connection, and inclusivity. These are all considered protective factors. A library is a connecting tissue within a community. As we continue to focus on expanding that protective factor, connective tissue in this community, it's crucial to highlight our role as a place not just for books, but programs. We're adding workshops and events that bring people together of all ages and backgrounds. I'll bring up one of the things that recently happened and draw your attention to the wall behind the officers there. We had 80 of our pre-K children come in to have a tour of the library, to learn about the most important secret that you will ever learn. The only thing you need to know in your entire life is the location of the library. They know that that is a secret that they can share with anyone they would ever like to share it with. They actually thought it was just the greatest thing ever to learn a secret. So those guys, again, got a tour. Emmanuel Herrera, one of our younger library employees, is really coming along in speaking to people, connecting to children and adults, and really growing in this role. So we're super excited to share that. The theme was real and make-believe. We talked about snowmen, and of course, Frosty was our primary make-believe guy. We have a community cookie swap today. If you have not had cookies, or if there was a young gentleman who hasn't eaten them all, there are still some available. We had a little bit of a low turnout there. I will share my recipe. It is get your keys, get in the car, go to Berkshire's, and put the cookies on the table. So that's my personal recipe for that. We did have the connections come along. There was a couple of younger folks who were homeschooled and made the cookies and brought them. Those are incredible connections to capture people at a very young age. We always will have a book display. The one that we have out there right now that I encourage you to go and look at is holiday themed, winter really focused. We have even wrapped some books. You will be giving yourself a gift of reading. You will not know what's in it. You just scan the barcode, go home and surprise yourself as if some gentleman from up north may have brought you something. This has been a huge hit with the kids. I've had to rewrap books 3 or 4 times already. So I'm really happy about that. I know I'm bribing them a little bit, but I'm okay with it. Lastly, we believe that actively engaging in the community and connecting people to the library and to others promotes a sense of belonging. We currently have over 1,200 physical items on loan. That does not include our Boundless app, which is a free ebook and e-reader program. I'll tell you more about it when you come see me. These holiday months historically report lower visitors simply because people are traveling. And so as we move into 2025, we believe that activities like our cookie swaps, having the kids come and tell their parents secrets, will get more and more folks in. And as we move into 2025, we have a solid outreach program we're very excited about, and you'll hear more about in the coming months. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving to our regular agenda, line item 9, deliberate and act on ordinance 2024-1201, amending chapter 14 zoning ordinance, the same being the comprehensive zoning ordinance relating to historic landmarks, legend for interpreting schedule of uses, home occupations, signs, and planning and zoning commission. The Board of Adjustment definitions and amending procedure, providing a cumulative repealer clause, providing the severability, providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each offense, providing for publication of an effective date.
Okay, is my mic on? All right. First off, council and citizens, what I want to first address here is our zoning map. If you see, unfortunately, we're having technical errors and I can't broadcast it from my computer, but if you'll look behind you, behind the council, the one right here in orange or yellow, whatever color you want to call that, is the zoning map that your staff in the city have been working off of since 1985. Unfortunately, it has not been upkept. One of the projects that I started when I took this job over a year and a half ago was updating our zoning map. My admin assistant has done a tremendous job of providing us an accurate zoning map, as you now see on the right, which is on the website that anybody can go to and look and find out what you're zoned as. Also, you can click on that and I don't know if you can see the spell books that are behind the council, but that goes back to 1983. That's minutes from every meeting from 1983 until about 2006. We scanned those into the computer. We did a search. We found all zoning changes for all property in the city in that time frame. If your property has ever been rezoned, you can click on that property in that map and it'll tell you when it was rezoned. So it's accurate, it's easy to update, and thank God, because when somebody calls for a zoning problem, we have never had an accurate map. You can understand. The zoning ordinance consists of two things. Let me be very clear. It consists of the map and the text. There is no zoning ordinance without a map. Your city has been operating without an effective zoning ordinance since 2020, when it was the last time it was rezoned. So, with that being said, the changes. This change started about 8 months ago. Whenever I presented it to our attorney at the time, that wasn't Cynthia. Cynthia used to be our city attorney and then left, but we had another one. She said that because it was adopted in 2020, there were 2 legislative updates that must have been made. 2021 Texas legislative session, and I believe 2023. Am I correct? So this ordinance was compared to those both legislative updates. This then went to a planner at the law firm who went through page by page and revised things. The firm has its own planner that specializes in things such as zoning. The home occupation, which is the point of everyone's contention here, is not allowed in our current zoning ordinance. And let me read you an excerpt from our current zoning ordinance. In the use of land and buildings, section 23 of our code, if a use is not listed in the zoning use summary table, it is prohibited, and an applicant may request an amendment to the zoning ordinance to request the additional use of an unlisted purpose. Currently, in this 2020 zoning ordinance, the only place you can have a home occupation is in an agricultural district. That means everybody that has been operating a business wasn't in compliance. We tried to make this open for everybody. Now it goes into SF1, SF2, SF. Every residence now can have a home occupation. Agricultural was the only one that was allowed prior to. Additionally, the sign ordinance, the planner kind of gave some of those recommendations. The electronic sign ordinance that came to us because citizens were complaining that most of the lights that were coming into town were way too bright. The candle power, it was affecting light pollution and affecting their ability to light. Let me be clear. You have rights, but so do your neighbors, and your rights aren't more precedent or more important than theirs. And their rights are infringed upon, it is a problem. So most of the things in the city's regulations that come down is because the city or the citizens have asked the city to do about it. So there is no fee associated with the permit. There is no fee currently associated with the application for a home occupation because it clearly says in the ordinance that it is called out in the fee schedule. The council has not assigned a fee to that in the fee schedule because we just revamped the fee schedule towards the end of fiscal year. So guess what? There's no fee right now. And the council can so determine. Let's address the up to $2,000 a day. That is also a state law. That is state law. That's language right out of state law. And thank God our framers had enough sense to give us 3 separations of government between judicial and legislative. So there's judicial discretion when it gets, if you do happen to get a fine, that the judge can then assign the penalty. It's not on the legislative body to assign that. They give them a range. So I have a couple of comments, council, that I'd like to address because there are some errors and some things that need to be adjusted here. On page 2, section 3, 14.02.020, the underlined section should in fact read section 211.0165. That needs to be corrected. Also, it is if you see on the second page, you'll clearly see where in our permitted use table, it used to say S indicating a prohibited district. It should have not said that. S should have indicated a specific use permit. So we did a lot of cleaning up in this ordinance because it conflicted itself. There is some language in the front that didn't match the back. In 2020, when this was put in front of you for adoption, it was terrible. And we've been surviving as staff in this city trying to make heads or tails of this. So that's a change. Also, I would recommend to the council that the operating hours be completely taken out of this ordinance. We live in 2024, soon to be 2025, and people operate computer-based businesses. When we initially started talking about operation of hours and hours of operation of businesses, home occupations were service-based. That meant people came and gone, or retail. I would recommend that the council strike section E and not restrict the operation hours of a home occupation. Third, permit required. There's another error. It should read, the application shall be reviewed by such departments, not the administrator shall be reviewed. That is another clerical error that needs to be adjusted. We had a citizen come to us that wanted to open a home business in his house. By this law that has it right in front of me, it is illegal. This all spawned by trying to promote business, not restrict it. And let me be very clear, home businesses are not under attack. We are trying to open opportunity for citizens, not restrict it. And your neighbors may not want to know that there's a business there, hence the sign regulations. Your neighbors may not want to know or see these cars coming and going all the time. So you have to see that there's an ebb and flow to this, because I hear all the time, the city should have never. The city should have never. Because when you have a problem, you don't go to your neighbor to address it, you come to the city to address it. So the city has to have checks and balances and some ebb and flow, some give and take. So what you have in front of you is months and months and months of work. Is it perfect? Probably not, but no law is perfect. And let me say this about law. Law only counts if you read the whole thing. You can read one section of law, just like the Bible, and make it mean whatever you want. You can read any verse in the Bible, but if you read the book, it makes a lot more sense. Law is exactly the same. You can't read one section up front and not follow up with it in the back of the law to make it match. Believe me, I'm almost a dang lawyer as much as I read law. And I've read more law since I've been doing this for 1.5 years than I ever cared to. But we're doing it. So I have nothing else. That's all I have to say. I don't disagree that it's not necessarily, I won't say it's restrictive. I believe it opens up opportunity. There are certain rules that cities must employ to protect all of its citizens, not just a narrow few. And we want business to grow, and we want business to come here. As you will soon hear, we have several coming here, very large ones. And we know that very large businesses such as Amazon started in a garage. We have to afford them the opportunity to do that. And our current ordinance does not allow that.
Just to kind of sandwich onto what I want to remind all of you, I've only been on the city council for less than a year, so I'm one of the newcomers, but I had 3 goals. I knocked on almost every single door in Whitney. My 3 goals were to improve our neighborhoods, enhance public communication. I think that we're seeing a lot better communication now than we've ever had in the city of Whitney. And 3, economic development. I was never against helping the city to grow. I've been watching some businesses close. We want more business in Whitney. We want to bring people from the lake and the park to come and spend their dollars in our town. I come from a big metropolitan area where that same goal existed. Spend money here, not somewhere else. Okay. On a side note, when we're talking about home businesses, for 10 years prior to moving here, I lived with a music teacher. We had piano lessons, guitar lessons, and drum lessons 7 days a week. Did not end at 5:00 p.m. Many of the lessons were for school kids that came after school and went to 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Some of them were on weekends. There were no signs out front advertising piano lessons. It was a home operated business. Yes, cars came and left throughout the neighborhood throughout the day, 7 days a week. That is how one of the persons in the household earned a living. So I am sympathetic to the home business. I hope I've established that and communicated it in everything I've done since I tried to get elected to this position. And I just want us to be calm as we look at this issue and maybe take it into the first part of next year as we continue to discuss it.
Okay. Does the council have a motion or a thought?
Make a motion to approve. Chapter 14 with the noted exceptions.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Aye.
Aye.
I would like this to be read or a vote. Is that possible? I'm asking.
Well, it's 4-4, or 2-2, right? Yeah, so the motion failed.
Doesn't the mayor not break the tie?
I forgot about that.
Thanks.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with passing. Passing the ordinance as Sam gave.
Madam Secretary, will you please read the motion back so there's some clarity? That was with the edits that were.
edits.
Yes.
The exceptions.
Moving on to line item 10, presentation from owners Altex Machine and Design, newly relocated business in Whitney. We have Jay and Alexander. Welcome.
Nice to be here. We purchased the property, the old Ready Ice building in April or May of this year. And in September, we moved in and we have started operations in that time. We originated in Austin, Texas 8 years ago. And we've been doing business there in a 3,000 square foot building. And the new place is close to 25,000 square feet. So we're looking to expand, looking to hire machinists and office people to do what we do. And what we do is we make prototypes or help research and development for different companies. We work with aerospace, computer technology, electronic enclosures, automotive. Did I already say that? I think medical, aerospace, semiconductors. We have customers all over the U.S., California, Wisconsin. Most of our business has been in Austin. We'll probably be trying to reach into the Dallas Metroplex area. But what we do is we take, for the most part, I do more design work. So I do that side of development for enclosures, things like that, computers, whatnot. Jay's has a little bit more expertise in machining. So what we're machining is we're taking a block of aluminum, a block of plastic, block of magnesium, whatever. And then we're taking reductive manufacturing, basically. We're removing the material to make the prototype. Companies want to do this before they go overseas or go wherever and injection mold the part so that they can make thousands of them, hundreds of thousands of them. So they want to test 5, 10 parts, and we do that. We make the plastic, we make the aluminum, whatever. And then they test it and it goes into production. We do lower volume type things, and that's what we're here for, is do fast stuff to help people do product development faster and better.
Y'all do these cool little glasses too.
We do a little bit of everything. We've over the years, Jay and I have both been working for 30 years or so in this area. I worked for Polycom, which is a video conferencing company, for 13 years, basically making video conferencing equipment, cameras, or designing it, I should say. I got tired of going to China, so we started this company.
Made.
Yeah.
Texas made.
We've done a little bit of everything. Some of it's really neat, some of it's pretty boring, just plate work that for a lot of the semiconductor stuff goes into a line where they're doing manufacturing and it's a fixture or something along those lines. The cooler stuff is glasses and things like that. We've done new glasses that'll be used for connect to your phone so that you can actually see computers on your glasses and things like that. God, we've done a lot of medical stuff as far as that goes, things that are helping people do surgeries better, enclosures that are just containing the electronics. We have some parts that'll be going up into space in the next year for loft orbital, basically for satellites.
And that was made here in Whitney, Texas?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
And
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you mind. What was the deciding factor in moving from Austin to Whitney, Texas?
So our biggest needs are space and power. Our machinery is 3-phase and they're fairly large machines that take a lot of amperage. So the Ready Ice building had plenty of space and plenty of power. So that was the big driving points as far as that goes, that and price. I grew up in Valley Mills, Texas. I haven't lived there in 30 years, but I grew up there, so I was familiar with the area. Jay's a Army brat, so he grew up everywhere. He's been in Austin for 30 years, but he's moved up here. I have a senior in high school, so I haven't moved yet. I'm hoping to move this summer, or planning on moving this summer. But love the area. It's a beautiful area. Its proximity to TSTC is a factor for us. I've always heard great things about the programs there. They do have machining as far as our CNC programming, which we need. And so we're trying to work with them. We'd like to work with the high school to try to get grow some talent, give some people some opportunities to learn it.
Awesome. About how many jobs do you think you are bringing here, creating by moving from Austin to here?
We have 2 immediate needs for programmers, machinists. We have a need for an office manager that we're actively interviewing for at this time. We haven't gotten much traction for machinists, basically.
Really?
So we're trying to figure that out. We've been focused on, we had a big project that we were getting out around Thanksgiving. And so we've been focusing on that and getting that done before we can really look into the other things.
Sure.
We have to make money to be able to,
Yeah, absolutely.
to keep everything, all the lights on.
Yeah.
We're passionate about product development, and it's a lot of fun. And we really wanted to show people that, it's a fun thing to do, and it's an interesting career path.
Sure. Well, we're super excited to have you guys here. And when we first started talking about you guys coming here and the opportunities that you were bringing and the pay scale in which you are going to be offering your employees, I mean, it's a very attractive thing for our youth and our citizens. And we really are excited that we're having a new industry come here, and that's putting parts in space from Whitney, Texas. I mean, who would have ever thought that?
Yeah.
And we're very thankful you're here, and we look forward to working with all of you in anything that's in the capacity that we can.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you. Line item 11, deliberate act or give direction to staff concerning the closing of portions of San Jacinto Avenue and Harris Avenue in the Lakeview subdivision property ID 144985, generally located at 605 South Bosque.
Councilwoman Peacock and Councilman Pierce, you're familiar with this, the Perry Otten storage building situation. If you recall, and we tried to provide you guys all with audio of the very last meeting that we had. This is something that stems back, I think, all the way to 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe after, but I think the last time we talked about it was 2021. What the issue here is, initially, Mr. Otten came to the city. There's two roads that run through the property in which he wanted to build storage buildings, and I'm giving this synopsis for those who don't know. There are two roads that were never developed but were platted in the property. There was a water line and a sewer line that ran through, and we had, at that point, I was the public works supervisor. We spent a lot of time out there locating those lines to figure out what they were and where they went, a tremendous amount of time. At that point, the council had indicated to Mr. Otten that they wanted a development agreement with him in which he would reroute those lines. He did not want to do that. He initially agreed, then came back and said, it's going to cost way too much money. I don't want to do it. He then asked if he could put gravel over the said roads. And that's when the 2021 meeting came. The council at that point, if you looked in the minutes and listened to that audio, the council said no, that he did not want, the council did not want him to do that. They wanted him to abide to his development agreement, which he had already previously agreed to. Fast forward to 2024. He wants to sell the property. So, Mr. Otten's realtor, I'm sorry. No, ma'am. In fact, he did put gravel over the roads and fence the whole property off. Mr. Otten's realtor is here. And if you like, he will be able to speak. He has been given the authority. I put a piece of paper in your packet where he does have the authority to speak on his behalf. I've been in contact with them, and this was the offer in which I made to them, that the email states that the roads will have to be abandoned by council action and by ordinance. The property or the seller buyer would have to pay the real value of that land and any legal fees associated with it. Also, the water and sewer lines running through the property would be a problem. Mr. Otten chose not to reroute the lines, but covered them. Basically, here's the deal. I asked for a 15-foot utility easement to be dedicated to the city for the sewer line and the water line, to which Mr. Otten and his realtor have agreed. They already have had it surveyed. I then said that they will have to pay the city the real value of that land, which I determined by looking at some property assessments that we had done on the properties that we recently sold. And it came up to, I have it in this packet. I'm so sorry. It's in your packet. I believe it's $1.70 something a square foot. Let me see if I can find that real value. This meeting went faster than I was able to keep up with. Okay, here we go. So what I did is I took the value of the land in which we already received a real estate assessment on. I figured up the square footage value of that real estate assessment, and I figured it based off of the square footage of how much the roads are of San Jacinto and Harrison Avenue, which came up to 684 by 40, which 2,736 square feet. So at $1.74 square foot, Mr. Otten would need to pay the city $4,760.64, to which he agreed. I also indicated that this will have to be done by ordinance. I've already been in communication with the attorney to start getting these things drafted if the council so chooses to move in this direction. And that Mr. Otten will have to pay any associated legal fees with that. And they are keeping track of that. So my recommendation to the council is that we do in fact go ahead and sell this property to Mr. Otten. He will be giving us a platted 15-foot utility easement over the sewer and the water line, and he'll pay us the real value along with any associated legal fees. Well, no, I'm sorry. No, ma'am, we'll have access to it. We have a utility easement at that point. So if anything ever happens, we have the ability to get in there and fix it.
And I'll second. Aye.
Line item 12, deliberate and act on resolution number 2024-1201 relating to approving a financing by the Whitney Cultural Education Facilities Finance Corporation for the benefit of Lake Country Christian School and providing for an effective date.
Good evening, council and mayor. I'm Deanne Carson with Government Capital Securities, and we are the city's municipal advisor. We've been municipal advisor for many years, and I really like Whitney's one of my favorite cities. And normally when I come here, I'm financing something for y'all and putting you in debt. But tonight I'm bringing you money, which I enjoy that a lot because it's bringing y'all $12,500 to spend any way the city wants to spend it. And the city and the Whitney Cultural Educational Facilities Finance Corporation is helping facilitate the Lake Country School. They're building an $8 million building in Fort Worth. And actually, y'all are help facilitating through a conduit, letting them use your tax ID number so they can finance this property tax exempt. It means a whole lot to them. This school's a really nice preparatory school for kids kindergarten through 12th grade. And we've got all the documents here. We've signed, the corporation signed some of the documents last week, and we've got the remainder of the documents tonight to sign. And this financing will close next week. And usually it drags on, but this one will happen quick and we'll send you your money.
So if you recall from last month, our Robin gave us a very detailed, or I'm sorry, from December 5th, a special call December 5th meeting. Robin, our attorney at that time, gave us a very well presented, detailed explanation of what this is. Just for you that weren't here, there is no risk to the city in this financing. We're not on the hook. They're not using our credit or our assets to get this loan. So she did a very good job of explaining that. This is simply a way for the school to be able to finance a bond, and the city benefits a conduit for it.
I'm going to stay and take those documents back with me since
Okay.
they're closing.
Make a motion to approve. Aye.
Line item 13, deliberate and act on ordinance 2024-1202, an ordinance of the city of Whitney, Texas, repealing 1.11 investment policy in chapter 1, general provisions in the code of ordinances of the city of Whitney, Texas, providing a severity clause, providing a savings repealing clause, and providing an effective date.
Council, this 13 and 14 kind of go together. The investment policy is supposed to be reviewed by council annually. We only have one investment in a CD, and per the Public Finance Act, PIFA, I believe it is, you're supposed to review that. Also, on legal explanation, it was adopted by ordinance, and on recommendation of council, they say investment policies typically are not adopted by ordinance, and it should be by resolution. So that's all this is. We're taking it out as an ordinance and adopting it by resolution. There are no changes made to the policy. Let me make that clear.
Make a motion that we approve as a resolution.
There a second?
Oh, hold on. You need to, you'll have to repeal the ordinance first, then adopt it by resolution, and we'll have to actually read out that agenda item, Madam Mayor.
14,
No,
13,
13.
We
Second,
got it.
on the repeal.
Okay. On the.
Yes.
Okay. I have it highlighted right there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Line item 14, deliberate and act on resolution R 2024-1202, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Whitney, Texas, adopting an investment policy for the City of Whitney, providing for the incorporation of premises and providing an effective date.
Make a motion that we approve the resolution.
I second. Aye.
Aye.
Line item 15, deliberate, act, or give direction to staff regarding request for Corps of Engineers to investigate Whitney Creek in accordance with the Flood Damage Reduction Program, Section 205 of the 1948 Flood Control Act.
All right, Mayor, Council, citizens. So I have been attempting, with no success, reaching out to the Corps of Engineers to mitigate Whitney Creek that runs through town, because when we receive any more than 1 inch of rain at a time, it floods. Initially, they told me, do what you want, it's in the city. And then they quickly came back because I knew better. Because I asked them, where do I file for a permit with you guys? Because I knew better. It's a floodplain and it's a flowage easement there of the Corps. So I'm getting nowhere with them. I've sent multiple emails. We're going to work a different angle with the attorney and try to get some information on the deeds and stuff like that. But there's a program that was instituted in 1948, Section 205 of the 1948 Flood Control Act. The Corps of Engineers can do a feasibility study, and it's 100% funded up to $100,000 by the federal government. So they will pay $100,000 to investigate a feasibility study to figure out what the problems are causing it to flood. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's clogged. But in federal government manner, they overcomplicate everything. So anything that's over $100,000, if this feasibility study does go over $100,000, there will be a 50-50 cost share with the city for the feasibility study. Also, they will come up with, not only will they do the feasibility study, they will give a project estimation on what needs to happen to fix it. If that happens and there's design criteria, plans and specifications and construction, it's paid for 65% by the federal government and 35% by us. Now, I want to say this. What I'm holding in my hand right here is one of these feasibility studies from 1986. This is nothing new. As I find myself always doing, this has happened before in the city and it was failed to act upon in 1986. It's time for us to take action. There is no sense in us spending $750,000 on roads if the creek can't flow. We have drainage problems in our city. If the water can't get out, it makes no sense to spend the money on the roads. So I would recommend to the council, with your authorization, the mayor writes a letter to the Corps of Engineers, which will go all the way to Concord, Massachusetts, requesting that we have identified a flood damage problem, and we request that the Corps of Engineers investigate the problem under its Flood Damage Reduction Act, Section 205 of the 1948 Flood Control Act.
Do, and it could get very nasty and it could damage a lot of property. So spring rains are coming in the next few months, so this is a good time to be active.
All right, thank you.
Aye.
Line item 16, deliberate and act on filing a lien on property location 304 West Cleveland Avenue, PID number 131634 for abatement costs.
Council, this is exactly what we've done with some of the other properties in town. We had a code enforcement issue, they did not abate the property. We spent taxpayers' dollars to abate that property. The property owner has been given sufficient time to be able to pay that back to the city and has not. Therefore, we're requesting a lien be placed against that property so taxpayers can get their money back.
800.
It's currently at 800, ma'am. Now, I will say that these liens do accrue interest. And if you recall, we just voted to ratify one a couple months ago. That was from 99. And because of interest, it was several $1,000s.
Second.
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
7:36 PM. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Yeah. You should have done those during your department.
He didn't do something in his.
Some things we would like to take care of for our chief of police.
Sure.
No, this isn't an actual action. Should have been doing.
Gosh, chase the man down on foot.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all y'all's hard work.
Thank you. I'm fine. What you do, you did work. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. You want me to stay this quiet so you read comments on my hand? What do you think? Yeah.